What's up, everybody? It's your boy King Hussle. Yes, it's the best money and credit channel on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe and hit the all notification bell. So whenever I drop new sauce, new lessons, new methods, and giveaways, you'll be the first one to be notified. You'll be the first one to know what's going on. And hey, you might be the first one to win something for free. So make sure you subscribe and hit the all notification bell so you won't miss out on nothing. Also, make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms. All you gotta do is click the title on every video. Once you click the title on every video, at the bottom in the description, all my social media links will pop up. All right, we got a lot of fake King Hustle pages out there, so please get a FaceTime verification call or video to make sure you see this face. Make sure you are doing legit business and you are getting what you pay for. All right. And before we get anything started, this is all educational purposes only, not telling anybody to do anything. So let's get this thing started. Hey, let's get this thing started. Hey, what to do, my real King Hustle fans, supporters, subscribers out there, my real Hustle Nation Empire family members, and we are back at it again with the gems, back at it again with the sauce, back at it again with the information that's going to turn you into a boss. So you tired of being a zero? You ready to be a family hero? Listen up, take a seat, get your notepad and get your pen, because you already know when I drop these videos, y'all get them notifications. It's going to be some information that's going to help you win, all right? And in today's video, we will talk about check fraud. Yes, check fraud, because it's a new year and new money being made with these scams, schemes, and fraud scams, whatever you want to call them, that's going on nowadays. Now, people got to start understanding that wherever there's money being made, there's going to be some type of scam, fraud, or scheme being committed. Now, with that being said, and people understanding that, you got to start to realize how many places money is being generated, from workplaces to businesses to you name it. Everywhere there's money being made. So with that being said, there's going to be some type of scam, fraud, or scheme being committed. Now, there's different type of scams, frauds, and schemes. A lot of people are intrigued with the scam, fraud, dark web world. A lot of people are interested in learning about different methods and different things and different ways how people are making quick, fast cash. It's a lot of people in the world that's broke and trying to figure out how to make quick, fast cash. There's a lot of people that want to know things to be safe and stay aware of things. So when it comes to scams, frauds, and schemes, people got to understand there's different levels. You got low level, you got middle level, you got high level. Now, low level scams, frauds, and schemes are mainly check fraud, credit card fraud, the main two type of scams that's been going on since there's been credit cards and checks. And then you got your middle level that's more like methods and ghost employees and things like that. Then the top level is more of the Ponzi schemes and things like that. So in today's video, we're going to do an analyze video of a guy who has did jail time for committing different type of scams and fraud, credit card fraud to be exact. Now, this video we're going to talk about check fraud, because there are a lot of people still to this day committing check fraud, and there are different ways to commit check fraud. And like I tell you guys, a lot of people ask me, what's the new method? What's the new way? What's the new this and what's the new that? And I tell people in a lot of different videos, I've said this previously, there are different ways to do one thing. So there's different ways to commit check fraud. There's different ways to commit credit card fraud. There's different ways to commit identity theft. There's different ways to commit different type of scams and schemes. There's different ways to do the exact same thing. So when people try to figure out ways how to do some type of scam or fraud, I tell people everything that these fraudsters and scammers are doing, they're literally doing the exact same thing somebody would do if they were trying to do it legally, or worse, doing it legally. So today's video, we're gonna analyze the dark net web. The dark net channel. Shout out to the dark net channel. Make sure you guys go check out the dark net channel on YouTube. They got more scam and fraud videos. We're gonna analyze, dissect, react, fair use, no copyright, and we're just gonna get down to the different types and the different methods of check fraud. Today he's gonna explain three. We're gonna break down three. Then we just gonna really get down to the bottom of it and how you can keep yourself safe and how you can be more aware. All right. So with that being said, let's get into the three different methods on how people or scammers commit check fraud. All right. So let's get into these gems.
The dark net. In today's video, I'm going to do my best to try and explain to you exactly how check fraud works. Now, there's 100 different iterations of this scam going all the way back to the 1960s. A lot of you may have seen the
Since the
movie
beginning of
Catch Me
time.
If You Can, starring Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio. That movie kind of does a really good job of explaining the origins of check fraud, where it was more about counterfeiting checks back then, and obviously they didn't have all the computer systems and all the AC.
Now, as time evolved, evolution evolved, the scams and the schemes and the fraud has evolved. So you got to think about how people deposited checks back in the day, how people wrote checks more back in the day, how people received checks back in the day. They didn't have computers, they didn't have mobile deposits, they didn't have ATMs where you can just deposit your checks, and they didn't have these type of things. So the type of scams and the schemes when it comes to check fraud has evolved as a time in the world has evolved.
Verifications that they have now. So in today's video, we're going to focus on 3 of the main methods that I think fraudsters are still using today. One is what I like to call the Nigerian fraud. Number 2 is what I like to call the commercial fraud. And number 3 is called the Walmart fraud. Now,
Walmart fraud.
before we get into today's video, I just have to say that check fraud is illegal.
Check fraud is
And by no
illegal.
way am I condoning any of this activity, but
Check fraud is illegal. Nobody's condoning any type of check fraud. But at the end of the day, this is something that's going on every day, and sometimes people are the victims of check fraud because a lot of times these are stolen checks and stolen account information, which is making somebody a potential victim. All right, so all educational purposes.
I like to talk about it because I think it's interesting and I think it's entertaining. So
Very.
today's video is purely for entertainment purposes only. Okay, this by no means is a how-to commit check fraud. We're just having a discussion here.
Just having a
All right?
discussion. All right.
So in today's video, like I said, I'm going to break it all down and we're going to talk about a couple of methods. Let's get into it.
How does our company go from vibe coding to building securely?
Fraud ring busted. Let's see what's going on. Hey. I don't know. Copyright. We gonna pause it. We gonna, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's a lot going on in this world with scams and fraud, and people ain't got time to be selling drugs and being out all day. They want to be in the privacy of their own home, getting some money, so they commit scams, frauds, and schemes.
Now, the first method I want to talk about is called the Nigerian method. Okay. Now, this is an oldie but a goodie, and a lot of you kids aren't even old enough to remember when Craigslist was the pinnacle of, resale on everything.
Facts.
Like, this is before Amazon. eBay was around, but
now, if you don't know about Craigslist back in the day was a platform where you can literally go on and find anything that you want. You can find people selling cars, clothes, people offering services, people doing a lot of different things, and there was a lot of scams going on Craigslist. They even had a section on Craigslist. They even had a section on Craigslist for people looking to meet other people and have fun. So like it'd be like M for F, M for M, all different type of categories. So like that's crazy. Like Craigslist used to be real wild, and people used to do a lot of wild and crazy things on the Craigslist. But then they started making it, you got to pay $5 to post, and like Craigslist became burnt out. So Craigslist was definitely the first platform that was, Craigslist, crazy.
Craigslist was the go-to.
Facts.
Like if you had anything for sale, you posted it on Craigslist.
Facts.
And that's just how it was. Now, sometimes you'd post a laptop, sometimes you'd post a vehicle for sale, whatever, what have you. And with these Nigerians, and I only call it the Nigerian scam because every time I encountered this scam back in the day, it was always coming either out of Nigeria or Africa. There weren't any Americans at the time doing this crime because I could.
Nah, it's another thing that people gotta always understand and pay attention to. Different countries, different places got different trends and different scams. So Nigeria, Africa might be to this type of scam more, the call center scams, and this place over here, this part of the world might be more into this type of scam, and U.S. world might be more into this type of scam. So people got to understand that also different parts of the world have different territories, different playgrounds, different. How do I want to put this? Just different communities and what they're grow up to and what they're able to get their hands on and what they're able to do.
Tell when the people would message, you can always tell what country someone's from by the broken English and by like how broken English. Like you can tell if it's Spanish broken English.
Facts.
You can tell if it's
Come on,
African
Stats.
broken English. You can just tell. At least I could anyway. So the scam goes a little something like this. You post something for sale on Craigslist,
Right.
and what the Nigerians do or whoever, all right, what they do is they browse the listings all day long, and they'll send you a message that'll go something like this. I'm going to pay you by check, and I need you to ship the item to me. And I'm going to give you a little
Facts.
bit of extra on the check to pay for shipping. Now,
Facts.
obviously, this is already suspect because in the United States, we don't use checks. We don't use cashier checks. We don't use money orders. We don't use any of that shit when we're shopping online. As
I ain't
Americans,
gonna lie. It got to a point on Craigslist where almost every post was a Nigerian scam. Like if you go like looking for a car, they'd be like, I got a car. They'd be like a fire car for like $1,200. It was just a fake picture and fake post. Like it really got to scamming on Craigslist got bad at one point. It was crazy.
just don't do that. So this scam, I think, really,
And that's why they started making people pay for posts too, because it got so bad that they made people start paying for money, pay to post on Craigslist, and scammers like, man, I'm not gonna post on Craigslist. I ain't gonna do that. It was free. So then they scamming somewhere else.
targets the older generation because the older generation they use checks, and like especially the boomers. Like
Facts.
to them, they were around before debit cards, so
Facts.
checks were just a different form of currency that everybody used at that time. So basically, what they would do is they would send you a fake check in the mail, and when they would
Or
tell you to
deposit to
deposit
your
the check
account.
into your bank account,
Mhm.
and then mail them the item or send them the difference on the check, or whatever, or even a different play on it would be like, say your item would be for $500, and you'd give them your address, and a check would show up in the mail for $2,000. And then you'd message them and be like, listen, there's $1,500 extra here. They're like, all right, well, just.
So basically, what they're doing is they're tricking somebody in the U.S. to cash in a fake check. That's what I mean about elaborate schemes and scams that people come up with to scam and defraud. People utilize their brains and think all day, every day. How can they, what way, where can they utilize whatever information that they have to scam or commit some type of scheme or commit some type of fraud? So if you got people who bless me, are looking to buy an item or want to buy items, people selling something, and then people actually fall for this. Like you'll be surprised what scams and schemes and fraud that people fall for. Like people are a little slow, but people will actually get the check mail to them, sent to them. They go cash it. Sometimes they might get the whole amount clear because it's an aged account. Remember that they know these people got aged accounts. Cash a check, and then they'll take the whatever amount that the 500, and then they'll send the person back to 1,500. So the person just had them cash a bad check and send them $1,500. Crazy.
Keep the 500 and send me the difference of the check or whatever. Obviously, you can see what the play here is. They were trying to get you to use your bank account to cash a fraudulent check so that
you don't know at all.
Send them the difference on the check. Listen, I don't know anybody personally that actually fell for this. I think it's rather silly because
It's
obviously
silly, super silly.
the Nigerians just have absolutely no idea how we as Americans transact with each other. So I think that this was like a popular, scam for the older generations. Now,
That was
quick little story on this scam. Back in the day, okay, during the Craigslist era, I was poor and desperate. And I got one of these emails because I used to card stuff using fraudulent credit cards,
Oh,
obviously,
you was a
and then I
carder.
used to resell the goods on Craigslist. And one day I got one of these messages,
That's where everybody
and I was
resold
like,
the
well, fuck it.
goods.
Let's see how far this goes. Let's see how good the checks are, or whatever. So I was like, yeah. Just send me the check. And literally, they overnighted me a check. Like, it showed up the next day at my front door via FedEx overnight, and it was signature required for the check, so that they knew that I got the check. I took the check down to my bank, and I walked in and I tried to fucking deposit the check. You know what I mean? Because I just didn't give a shit. Like, I was broke back then. Like, I didn't care. I was just
He didn't
reckless.
care.
Like, I didn't care. So I don't even remember how much the check was for. I think it was a few $1,000s. I walked up to the teller. I gave her the check. I gave her my ID. You know what I mean? Because the check was made out to me and everything. It was a personal check, I believe, or a money order. No, it was a personal check. And so every check, I don't know if you guys understand this or not, but little tidbit for you. Every check at the bottom of the check
It's
has your routing and your checking number.
Yeah.
That's basically all a check is.
And that's a lot of people, and that's what a lot of people don't even know. That's what all a check is that account number and that route number. That's all it is. And it's showing you what bank it's coming from, what account, who's going to, how much, things like that.
I mean, nowadays they do everything like direct deposit. Like, when you give your employer your routing and your checking number, that's basically all a check is. It's telling the bank where to send the funds to on the piece of
Or
paper.
where it's coming out of.
Now, on the bottom of the check, the routing and the checking number it's printed in something called MICR ink. Now, it's a magnetic ink that allows the bank to put your check in this little machine, and it goes, and it just sucks the check through real quick, and it reads the magnetic ink at the bottom of the check, and that tells the bank's system that the check.
And that's another thing when fraudsters and scammers don't be understanding when they be making these fake checks. Like, they don't be having that ink. So when the banks run them checks through the system, the little magnetic little device, and the ink not reading, and it's not, you know what I'm saying? That's a red flag that the check is fake. And that's another way how scammers and fraudsters get caught with these fake checks.
Check A is legitimate, and B, it lets them, put the routing and the checking number into the system so that they can do whatever they do behind the scenes. The check that the dude sent me that I gave to the bank, and when they ran it through the little thing, they didn't even use MICR ink. It was basically some lollipop operation where they were just, printing checks on like a regular printer, and they weren't even using the proper ink. And when the check teller told me, like, this check is fraudulent or whatever, I'm like, oh man, I was just selling something on Craigslist, and they sent me a check. I don't know. So I didn't get in any trouble or anything like that. They didn't close my account, but that let me know that the people that sent me the check, A, didn't know what they were doing,
At
and
all.
B, set me up for failure. So that's what I like to call the Nigerian method, because honestly, I honestly believe that all of those checks were
never
coming out
fall
of
for
Nigeria
that at all.
or Africa or wherever. Pretty sure it was Nigeria. And yeah, like I said, I think that whole kind of scam was silly. I don't know anybody who ever fell for that scam, but back in the early 2000s, it was extremely popular. And I remember every time I used to post something on Craigslist, I used to get 2 or 3 of those emails. And this is how I knew. Like, I would post the item, and within 10 minutes, I would get an email. Is this still available?
How do you do
and
that?
Then it was literally like a copy and paste, because every email I got on every listing I posted was exactly the same. So it was basically they were working off of a script. It was like a copy and paste thing. Like, every time it was the same. Blah 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 blah. I'm gonna send you a check and this, that, and the other. And they give you some story about how they're sending it to their daughter or something like that that's in college, and they live in another state, but they want to
send it to them.
You've already done too much at that point. All right, that's already way too fucking much, and that's why I believe that the Nigerian method is just absolutely silly. But I thought it was worth mentioning in this video.
What? I just got a loan for $5,000 straight to my bank account, and I'm actually freaking out because now I can go.
You'd be surprised how many people actually fall for the Nigerian check scam. Yeah, a lot of people are slow.
Now, the second method I want to talk about is called the commercial method.
All right.
This method's a little bit more involved. Obviously, you have to live here in the United States to do this method, and it goes a little something like this. Fraudsters, what they do is they go to, say, commercial compounds where they have say for instance in Tampa, Florida, they have like a commercial kind of area where it's all businesses. All these businesses, like all these commercial businesses,
Just
like
steal the kids out
warehouses,
the mailboxes.
factories, manufacturing
Steal the
centers, what
mail
have you.
until they find checks.
Even like skilled professional centers, like doctors' offices, all this shit. And if you ever go to any of these commercial areas, they have one main mailbox center, kind of like an apartment complex, but it's in like a commercial area, and it's got all these boxes where where it's just one central location that they drop off all the mail, so that the mailman doesn't have to go to each business and drop the mail off, because it would take too much time. So they've got one central mailbox. Now, what these thieves do is they gain access to these mailboxes.
The key universal.
Sometimes you can go online and you can order a key.
Amazon.
If you know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I don't know exactly how that's done, but these guys have figured out what keys to order. So they go in like the middle of the night or whatever, and they unlock the back of the mailbox, and they basically just steal all the mail. Like all the mail. Like so there's two ways to do it. Like there's the crackhead.
They steal all the mail, and then they literally go through all the mail until they find checks. Crackhead. That's why he even called it crackhead scams. That's crazy. I call all this stuff crackhead scams because they crackhead scams. Like crackheads do this type of stuff. Like
way to do it, where you go and you take all the mail, which obviously is going to raise some red flags, because the businesses are going to be reporting like, we're not getting any of our mail, none of our mail showing up. But then there's like the way where you can go and you could, like, if you know what you're looking for, you know which envelopes have checks in them. So, well, the scumbags committing these crimes, they know what they're looking for. So they go in each one, and they basically just steal the checks out of these mailboxes. Now, the reason this is not a good method, but the reason this method is profitable is because businesses still use checks.
Facts.
Now,
businesses
when
do
one
still use
business,
checks.
say, owes another business for like buying paper, or like,
I don't know why.
so say I own a business and I order a bunch of office supplies for my business. Basically, you set up a relationship with the vendor who you're buying from, and they just send you a bill at the end of the month, or a check, or whatever. Like you send out a check, or they send you a check. It goes both ways. Like, so say your business sells products, then people are going to be sending you a check. But if you are
buying
products and you're sending out a check. So what the thieves do is they get their hands on these checks. Now, commercial checks are a lot different from personal checks. Commercial checks are usually written for a higher amount, and the scrutiny process on the back end for processing, because there's so many of them written to every business every month, as long as you don't make the amount too crazy on the check, you can usually get away with the fraud. Now, what these scumbags do is they steal these checks, and they get the routing and the checking number off the bottom of the check, and then they recreate the check using Photoshop. But then they make the check out to whoever. Now, the cash out method for this it varies. There's the crash test dummy method, where you go and find a crackhead,
that's what a lot of people do. They go find crackheads or people or dummies, like he said, on the street to go like test it. Like, so they had them go cash the check and do all that and see if it worked. Because if it don't work, oh well, next person.
Go and find a drug addict. Usually crackheads and drug addicts, because those are really the only two kinds of people that, well, a crackhead is a drug addict. Let's be honest. Drug addicts are like the only people who will walk into a bank and cash a check in their own name, and they don't give a shit, because they know they're about to get a couple $1,000s or a couple $100, and then they can go buy their drugs. Because that's just how junkies are. Junkies, they're mentally fucking retarded anyway, so people use them as crash test dummies. Now,
mentally retarded.
The two things you got to worry about with crash test dummies are them running off with your money, because I know guys that used to pull this scam, and they used to send people into the bank, and they used to cash a check. These junkies should cash a check, and then they walk out, and they're like a deer in the headlights. Like they're in the car looking at them, and they're like a deer in the headlights, and they just look at them, and then they take off running with the money. So, and then when they get caught, obviously they're going to tell on you.
Narc.
Because no junkie wants to sit in jail and detox off of whatever they're on. So they're going to tell on you immediately, and you're going to go to jail. So there's a couple of risks with using the crash test dummies, sending them into banks and cashing the checks. The second cash out method, from what I hear, is stealing someone's identity. So it involves a whole nother crime. It involves identity theft, which is, a mandatory minimum of 24 months in federal prison. Don't ask me how I know that. Well, I know that because I had a charge of I got charged with aggravated identity theft, and I had a mandatory minimum of 24 months in federal prison.
This may
That's
be
what
the
I'm
last
saying. That's
ad
why I'm
you
trying
ever
to tell
see.
y'all, like, people be trying to
Because with the free ad
do all
block
this stuff,
extension
and then we
from
know what they be doing and be mad. when
That's
they
neither
get
here
caught.
nor there. The second cash out method involves aggravated identity theft, where you steal someone's identity and you open a bank account, and then you get the debit card mailed somewhere so you have access to the debit card. Then what they do is they make these checks out to that person. They deposited them into the bank. You can do it at the ATM, or you can basically now you can just take a picture of the check and upload it straight to the bank,
Mobile
and they'll
deposit.
cash it for you. Now a lot of banks will let's say you upload a check or you deposit a check for like $10,000 or whatever. A lot of banks will give you available funds of a certain percentage of that check before the check even clears. And I know a lot of people were doing this with Chase. I don't know if it was like last year, the year before, or 2 years ago, where it was the infinite money glitch that everybody was talking about, which really was like a play on that method where they would just make up a check for like $50,000 and they would deposit it into their bank account, and then the bank would give them, out of courtesy to them, would give them like $10,000 or $15,000 or whatever, like a certain percentage of the amount of the check before it clears. That was like that obviously that's a junkie method. You're a retard if you're gonna do that on your own account, because obviously you're gonna get caught. And people
That was
think
the
that they're
dumbest
not
thing, and
gonna
I said that,
prosecute
like,
you,
why
but
are people doing that?
apparently right now Chase
Crackheads.
Bank is prosecuting is literally prosecuting people for this crime because it's check
A lot
fraud.
of people.
It's fraud at the very end of the day. But going back to the other method, that's basically the cash out method. Is they steal someone's identity, get a bank account, deposit the check into the bank, and then they go to the ATM and pull out the money. Obviously, this is illegal, and if you do this, you'll go to jail. But I just, thought it was worth mentioning that this is the method. From what I understand, this is called the commercial method. It's basically just stealing the checks, the commercial checks from the mailboxes, and then creating your own check to do all of this with.
The checks
Now,
be bad,
there's
though.
another spin on this commercial, which is there's another, well, not another spin, but another method, I would say, on this commercial version of this fraud, where I've heard of people getting rebate checks. So let's say you call up like Nabisco, or you call up General Mills or whatever, and you complain for 4 or 5 days in a row about how stale or your cookies or your cereal was, and you're gonna write letters to the Better Business Bureau, and you're gonna complain online and blah 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 blah. What they do to shut you up is they basically send you a check or like a rebate check. Now it's not that much. It's usually for the price of like it's like for like $8 or whatever for like a new packet of cookies,
a couple
of
hundred.
Oreos, or a new
Wow.
box of cereal or whatever. But these checks come with a routing and a checking number literally on the bottom of the check. So, like I said, what they do is all you need is a routing and a checking number. And all of these methods are just various ways for you to get your hands on a commercial routing and checking number. Because once you have that, like I said, all you have to do is recreate a check and then use one of the various methods that we mentioned as a cash out. And I think that's pretty much it for the commercial method. Now, I've never done any check fraud myself. So I know people that have done this, especially this commercial method. I know it works, and I know people that are actually not currently. Well, fuck, they might be currently doing it. I don't know, but when I was in the United States, they were doing it. And I know one guy, he was doing probably $20,000 a week, between $20,000 and $25,000 a week, cash in hand, with this method. But don't do this because you'll go to prison if you get caught.
Facts.
Another morning to savor the crunchy nooks
Not
and
do
cranny
it
splendor
because
of
you
a
will
Thomas's
go to
English
prison
muffin.
and you
Tom,
will
which
get
is a nook
caught.
and which is a cranny?
That's
It's
a
a nook, cranny.
We're going to just end it right there. We're going to go ahead and end it right there. So, yeah, man, check fraud. There's a lot of different ways people are committing check fraud. You also got people who are robbing mail carriers. Even people working in the mail office, the post office, stealing checks, stealing mail. Like, people figure out ways how to get their hands on things, and once they figure out how to get their hands on these, they take those things and they commit all different type of scams, fraud, and schemes, and all different type of stuff, man. So with that being said, it's always about being more safe, being more cautious, and being more aware. I would say the best way to stay more safe from first of all, Norton LifeLock, because monitoring your bank accounts and your social media accounts will keep you alert. Any suspicious activity that happens. So people out here with these checks, stealing checks, you get a suspicious check or withdrawal or deposit or anything like that, you'll get alert, keep you going on. Also keep your information off the dark web. That monitor the dark web. Make sure none of your account information or personal information is on there being sold. Make sure you guys are freezing your credit bureaus, TransUnion, Equifax, or Experian, so nobody can get anything in your name. Make sure you guys are changing your debit card and credit card numbers every so often, because we use them every day. And every time we use them, that information is being stored on some type of POS machine, some type of database. And there's always a data leak, a compromise, or a hack. And if we changing these card numbers every so often, it'll keep us safe and more secure, because if the old information is on that old system and we got new information, it won't work and we keep our money, right? So it's just all about being more safe, being more cautious, and being more aware. I don't know why people still use checks, but hey, they still do. So until people stop using them, we just gotta be more safe, be more cautious, and be more aware of what's going on, right? So shout out to all my real King Hustle fans, supporters, subscribers out there, because without y'all, there'd be no me. Y'all motivate me keep going, y'all motivate me keep dropping the sauce, and y'all motivate me keep y'all entertained. So shout out to all of y'all. Anybody out there just tired of being broke because it ain't no joke, let's get to work. FaceTime 101 limited gems are $1,000. But for limited time only, I'm doing it for 600. Yes, 600 Cash App or Bitcoin payment. Once the 600 is on your Cash App or Bitcoin balance, send me a screenshot. Let me know your payment ready, and we will go from there. All right, no screenshots, no replies, no 21 questions, and please do not yo me. Make sure y'all book your seat on the webinars Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. 10 seats available, 250. Ask me anything y'all want to ask me, get help with anything y'all want to get help with. Don't miss out on that. Make sure y'all book your seat on the crypto tour. In-person limit gyms, $3,500, $500 deposit. Rest of money meeting person. Make sure y'all book your seat on the month-long mentorship, $2,500, 30 days. Anything you need help with, let's get to work. Make sure y'all checking out my vendor platforms on Telegram and the Potato App Millionaire Network. Still looking for people for the production company. Make sure y'all subscribe and hit the notification bell on my YouTube channels, my Twitches, my TikToks, and IGs. Make sure y'all checking out the crypto world, because it's changing people's lives. And with that being said, it's your boy King Hustle. Y'all know how I get down in these videos. I'll see you at the next lesson, video, or live. Peace.